Hello everybody, welcome to the channel, Out of Ammo, Out of Time. Yes, I'm your host Krabby8, and here we are in episode 52 of season 1 of the Investigator Games with everybody's favorite operator, Amina Zidane. Yes, Amina Zidane is the mystic in the Scarlet Keys expansion. And she is here for the Investigator Games. Now, what is the Investigator Games, I hear you ask? Well, yes, it's like the Hunger Games. We take each investigator true solo through a scenario. In Season 1, that is The Gathering, and Season 2, which is also available, that is the Midnight Masks, and we see how they go true solo. And depending on how they go, they end up in a league table like this one. Now, this is the Season 1 league table. The points from Season 1 carry over, and then we see how the investigators do in Season 2, and then we will see how they go through into Season 3 one day into the Devourer below, and the winner gets crowned in glory, and the losers hang their heads in shame. Now, in Season 1, we can see it's got everybody from the top all the way down to the bottom. Yes, all 51 of them. And I would recommend that you watch some of the other ones. If you're interested, you might be here to see how Amina plays out. That's fine. Now, spoilers, if you are brand new to the game, you've never played before, I'm going to assume you know how to play a little bit. So I would, in that case, go and play in real life and recommend you look at many, many excellent videos on how to play Arkham Horror, the card game. But I also recognize that people might be coming along who are relatively new to the game just to see how these investigators play out, and that's perfectly fine, as long as you've played The Gathering at least once. Now, speaking of playing The Gathering, I also have a video on this channel which looks at everything you could ever want to know about The Gathering, and indeed the Midnight Masks, lore, story, gameplay, strategy, the whole lot. Me and some other content creators have contributed to that, and it's really great to have a look at if you want to get everything that you ever want to know about these particular iconic and starting scenarios. So yes, Amina Zidane, we are going to go through her card, how she plays. I'm going to go through her starter deck with you as well, and then we will wait for the horn to kick off in the Investigator Games. So if we, first of all, a couple of things. Mystic, we can see her stat line is one of those stat lines that's very consistent. It's sort of average for everything. Willpower, intellect, combat and agility are all just a straight 3. So no min-maxing here. It's all just standard. So, I mean, that tells you that we're going to be needing cards to help us boost that, and particularly mystics who need willpower. So we're going to need to find ways to boost that. And indeed, Amina has lots of different ways of doing that by manipulating the Doom, which can be a little bit scary for new players because Doom is bad. Why would we want more Doom? Well, we'll explain how that all works. So yeah, she's 3 across the board. She's traded Chosen and Cursed, and she has a reaction trigger. When you play an asset, reduce its resource cost by 3. So for a lot of things, that's going to really make it relatively cheap. It enters play with a Doom on it, and you can only do this once per round. So essentially, Amina can bring out assets relatively cheaply, which is really good. The only downside, it would seem, is that they have a Doom on them, so you just have to be conscious of that. So yes, the Elder Sign effect is a nice +2, and you can move all Doom from a card at your location, and that includes, of course, cards you control, because they're technically at the location, to another card. So you could move Doom from yourself to an enemy, and then kill that enemy, removing the doom. Or the other way around, if you wanted doom, you could move it off enemies or locations. So there's a bit of shenanigans you can do there with doom, but it's not going to come up very much because it's the Elder Sign effect, but nice when it does. So so some interesting abilities here. Definitely being able to reduce the cost by 3 for something, but the downside being the doom is really helpful, and then this Elder Sign effect is quite nice. The only thing with this sort of thing is you've just got to be careful about how you manage doom, so that you don't end up allowing the agenda to run away from you. And in some scenarios, like the Midnight Masks, you've got to be super careful about that. The thing is, though, of course, is that if it's the witching hour, as they say, where the agenda is going to flip anyway, you can just go ham on the... you can go crazy on the doom, because it doesn't actually matter, because it's all going to get cleared away anyway when the agenda flips. So that's another thing to consider. What is it trying to tell me? So we can see that we're not really the most robust individual in Arkham Horror, the card game, with a physical strength of 5. That means we need to watch for grasping hands in the gathering, but our mental strength is really up there with a huge 9. So like a lot of mystics, I guess, we can absorb horror quite a bit. So that's really good. So interesting card. Let's flip the card over and just have a look at the other side. And so what do we have here? So it's a standard deck size of 30. We can, of course, take Mystic cards 0 to 5. Now, one of the things we do need to be mindful of is that we only have a willpower of 3. So one of the things, if we are going to be using lots of Mystic cards, is we need ways to boost that willpower with the usual sorts of cards. The Holy Rosary, things like that, because otherwise we are going to struggle a little bit. We can take neutral cards 0 to 5 and charm cards 0 to 4. So I don't know all of the charm cards. There is one off-class charms in the deck that I've put together, but there's probably some kind of deck that Amina could play that has sort of many charm cards from different classes, and that would be quite interesting to play. We also have a Word of Woe, Word of Weal, Deafening Silence, and a random basic weakness, and we will get onto those in a moment. So this is Amina's backstory. A refugee from French-occupied Algeria, Amina arrived in Arkham with nothing more than she could carry. 6 years later, Amina's sharp mind and technical skill placed her at the switchboard for the Miskatonic Valley Telephone Company. Soon after, she began to catch snippets of something strange while at work. Distorted words in an unrecognizable language, out-of-place noises, calls that connected to nowhere at all and dropped almost immediately. As the phantom calls grew in frequency, Amina sought answers. She found the right extension, connected to the line, and listened in. Despite not understanding a word of the alien language on the other side, she could tell the eldritch words held real power. That's why she's traded the operator. So there we go. That's Amina's backstory. So let's interesting card. So let's have a look at the deck we put together. Now, just on the decks themselves, everybody starts. Every investigator starts with a standard starter deck, which is comprised of the core game and also the expansion from which the investigator came from. So in this case, the Scarlet Keys. Now, in this case, I haven't created this deck myself. Playing Board Games, which is an excellent and extremely popular YouTube channel, had an excellent starter deck, which was also on Arkham DB, and I have copied it here I don't think I could have done better than this. So I will put a link to the video that I watched in the show notes, and I'd recommend you go and have a look at that because they did a really great job putting together a starter deck for Amina, and I appreciate them doing that. Saved me some time. So yes, so let's have a look here at the deck as it stands. So let's start with Amina's signature cards. The Word of Wheel is a 0-cost event. You can fast play it when you perform a skill test on an asset with 1 or more doom on it. So immediately you want something with doom on it to be able to play it. Add your willpower to your skill value for this test. Then if Word of Woe is in your discard pile, you may shuffle it into your deck. Okay, so yes, that's Word of Wheel. So it allows you to add 3 essentially, or more than 3 if you've got things like Holy Rosary, which we actually don't have in this particular deck, but you'll see why. That kind of thing. So that's very nice when it pops up. The other one is Word of Woe, which is a 2-cost event. It is again fast play during your turn. Put a doom on an asset you control to resolve an action ability on it, ignoring all costs, including its action cost. Then if Word of Wheel is in your discard pile, you may shuffle it into your deck. So both of these cards give you an advantage when they turn up. And the nice thing is also they cycle back into your deck as well, which is nice. So nice cards, nice to have. If they turn up, they can give you a little bit of an extra boost for one of those significant sorts of tests. Now, the only thing about them is signature assets sometimes come with pips on the side. These ones don't. So you don't get that advantage, but you get the advantage that they come back again. So that's something. So those are the 2 sort of signature cards. The signature weakness card is called Deafening Silence. It's a treachery weakness omen. Revelation, move 1 doom from an asset you control to the current agenda. This may cause the current agenda to advance. If no doom is moved this way, shuffle Deafening Silence back into your deck. So there you go. So that's one of those weaknesses that could be fairly inconsequential, or it could be really bad, depending on when it turns up. Speaking of that, the random card we turned up for basic weakness is Dendromorphosis, which is one of the most disliked weakness cards in the deck, and unfortunately not great. So when this card turns up, you put it into play in your threat area. It can't leave play while it has no damage on it, and it takes up 2 hand slots. So the effect of this is anything you have in your hand slots, you lose, right? You lose. You can then take a fast action to do a direct damage, deal that damage to Dendromorphosis. So obviously once you do the damage, it goes away, but it's already done the damage because you've lost whatever you had in your hands. Again, if this turned up early in the piece before you had things in your hand slots, no big deal. But if it comes at the an inopportune time, you're just about to take on an enemy, it can be pretty disastrous. Plants. So let's hope that it doesn't turn up at an inopportune time. So yes, fairly nasty weakness. So I hope that doesn't turn up. Okay, so there are all the signature cards and basic weakness. Let's look at what's in this deck. And there's a whole bunch of these cards in the deck, which really feel like they have been created for Amina in the Scarlet Keys expansion. And the first one is the Ceremonial Sickle. It's a 3-cost asset. It takes up a hand slot, hence why Dendromorphosis is a bit of a problem, because Amina doesn't use mystic slots, I guess, like a usual mystic might. She's actually using these hand slot cards instead. So it's got an action, which is a fight action. You can either use your willpower or get +1 fight for this attack, which would give you a fight essentially of 4. When you initiate this ability, choose 1. You can exhaust Ceremonial Sickle, place a Doom on it to get +1 skill value and deal +1 damage for this attack. So essentially that would mean you would be up to 5. Or you can, if this attack defeats an enemy, remove 1 Doom from the Ceremonial Sickle. Now, you've got to choose this before it resolves, but you can see how this could be used quite nicely. You could put a Doom on something to attack, and then you could exhaust, do that damage, and then next time you could defeat the enemy and remove the Doom, for example, that kind of thing. There's all kinds of ways you can use this. So pretty good, and really kind of aligns with Amina, because, for example, you could bring it out for 0 using her special ability. And then it would have a Doom on it, but if it's a relatively small enemy, then you could, like a rats, for example, you could kill the rats and then you could remove the Doom, that kind of thing. So there we go. That's the Ceremonial Sickle. And then we have the Dowsing Rod, which is investigate, use your willpower or get +1 book for this investigation, and then you choose 1. You can exhaust the dowsing rod, put a Doom on it, and move to a connecting location. Or if this investigation then uncovers the last clue, remove a Doom. So again, it's got a couple of options there. The other thing I should say, and I didn't say it before, with these hand slot cards, this means that if you do end up with a couple of Doom on a card, you could actually replace the card with something else. That card would go into the discard and it would lose all the Doom. So the other way you can get rid of Doom is just by replacing it with another hand slot card. In fact, even Dendromorphosis would do that. So if you had a bunch of Doom on, you would obviously lose, that Doom would get lost. So this is for fighting. This is for clue getting. And then we have the Hallowed Chalice. So this is another one. Choose an investigator at your location. Now we're playing true solo, so it's always going to be us. Exhaust Hallowed Chalice, put a Doom on it to heal 2 damage or 2 horror. Or you could heal 1 damage or 1 horror from that investigator. If you heal the last damage or horror from that investigator, remove a Doom. So again, particularly since we've only got 5 health, this could be really handy for healing damage. And of course, in the multiplayer, this could be really nice as well because it allows you to heal other investigators as well. So that's really nice. So that's a bit of a healer. Then we have the Onyx Pentacle. It's a 3-cost asset with an agility pip, so it's all about evasion. So evade, use your willpower or +1 foot for this evasion. When you initiate this ability, you can exhaust the Onyx Pentacle, put a Doom on it, to target any enemy at your location or connecting location and get a +1 skill value for this evasion attempt. Or if you succeed by 2 or more, you can remove the Doom from Onyx Pentacle. So there we go. There are the different cards there. So they're all cards that take up hand slots and allow us to do things: fight, investigate, and evade. So we'll definitely be using those. Then we've got something called String of Curses. So this is a 1-cost asset event, and it's a spell with a fight and an agility pip. You can choose a non-elite enemy at your location. I should just add that this card here is any enemy. So any enemy, not just elite, but this one is non-elite. And you can either automatically evade that enemy and put a Doom on it. It cannot take damage for the remainder of the round. Discover a clue at your location. Or if that enemy has 1 or more Doom on it, defeat it. Gain a resource for each Doom that was on it. So there you go. Now, of course, if you So you can see here that if it's already got doom on it, you get that resource for each doom, and of course the enemy is defeated, so the doom goes away. So again, quite a nice effect. And then finally, and then we have Explosive Ward, which is an X cost event with 2 fight pips. Before you play Explosive Ward, you may discard any number of cards from your arcane slots. Well, we don't have any cards in arcane slots. Deal X damage to a non-elite enemy engaged with you. X cannot be greater than the number of empty arcane slots you have. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity, so it's just a 2 damage event essentially. Yeah. So, yeah. So that's that one. Now, of course, there are some cards that allow you to have additional arcane slots, so you would do more damage. Then we have Eldritch Initiation, a 1-cost event. For each arcane slot you have, draw a card. For each filled slot you have, choose and discard a card from your hand. Again, we won't have any arcane slots open, so we can draw a card for 1. And then we have a body slot here, Living Link. It's customizable. And when you purchase Living Link, choose a skill and circle it on your upgrade sheet. Well, I think it makes sense that we would, we circled Willpower for that, because that makes sense for what we want to do, because then that gives us a full, and you get, we have, for things like fighting, we're starting at 4 rather than 3 with willpower, and then we're able to boost that up in that way. Uses 3 charges. Remove 1 charge from Living Link at the start of each of your turns. If Living Link has no charges, discard it. You get +1 to the chosen skill, so that's willpower. We have the Rabbit's Foot, which is an item charm asset. After you fail a skill test, draw a card. Pretty standard one. We've got Drawn to the Flame, which is the pretty standard one to discover 2 clues. We've got the good old Ward of Protection. Fast play when you would draw a non-weakness treachery card, cancel that card's revelation effect, and then take a horror. So that allows us to avoid some nasty cards along the way. We've then got a couple of perceptions, which allow us to obviously find more clues. We've got a couple of guts, which give us even more willpower. We've got a couple of overpowers for fighting, and then we've got a couple of emergency caches. So there you go. That's what we've got. Yeah, so I don't know what you think about this deck. I think it's pretty good. There's some really interesting effects. We will need the Ceremonial Sickle to ensure we can do the damage that we need to do, but we've also got the Explosive Ward to do some testless damage, which is always nice as well. So I think we should be pretty okay as long as we don't get overwhelmed by enemies. So I think this is pretty good. So don't know what you think. Interested to see what you think. So this is the deck that we're going to start with. So let's close and shuffle that up. Now we're here in Octagon, all set up for the gathering. So Amina is in the study. She's waiting patiently, seated at the desk, waiting for the horn to go off. The crowds are just coming in. I did speak to Amina in the green room before she went down to the study. Very modest individual, doesn't like to blow her own trumpet or anything like that. She's just very focused on doing as best that she can. Yeah, she's got a power about her that can be a bit spooky at times. So I think that she might do a lot better than perhaps, people expect. We'll see how she goes. So let's read out the agenda and the act deck and see, and then take it from there. So what's going on? It's late at night and you're holed up in your study researching the bloody disappearances that have been taking place in the region. A few hours into your research, you hear the sound of strange chanting coming from your parlor down the hall. At the same time, you hear dirt churning as if something were digging beneath the floor. And trapped. Yes, as you leap to investigate, the door to your study vanishes before your eyes, leaving behind only solid wall. You're trapped inside your study until you can find another way out. Yes, we are playing in standard difficulty. And, oh, there it goes. There goes the horn. The crowd goes wild. Amina waves to the crowd, and we will see how she goes in episode 52 of season 1 of the Investigator Games. Okay, well, what do we want? What do we want? What do we want? Well, yes, we definitely want our offensive card, which the sickle. We'd want that. It would be great to also have a card or two which help us do our investigating as well, because we don't want to end up in the study for too long. So let's see how we go. Let's shuffle. Let's draw many. We'll draw 5, see how we go. Oh, okay, well, we can't have our weakness, so we will replace that. What have we got here? So we've got rabbit's foot, string of curses. Yeah. Hello, chalice. Hello, chalice. They're not bad. I mean, none of these are too bad, but to be honest, is there any that we want to keep? Emergency cash, maybe. But none of these others. So I'm going to keep the emergency cash because we want to make sure we can bring out what we need. I'm going to draw 4 more. 1, yep. 2, yep. 3, 4. Ooh, okay. Interesting. So we didn't get what we wanted in terms of a fight. Okay. So these living links, I mean, they only last for 3 goes. I guess 4 because you use them the first time, and then it starts the kind of 4 goes. But we've got 2 of them, so that's going to give us an extra willpower. This here, Onyx Pentacle, well, that's a good way to evade. So that's not bad. Rabbit's Foot, yep, that's all good. So So the problem with the Onyx Pentacle is we could bring it out for no money, but then we would have a doom on it, and there's not necessarily going to be anything for us to evade. So, so we just got to be a bit careful about that. So it's a bit of a funny start. So yeah. Okay, so what are we going to do? Well, first action, I'm going to actually spend 1. And I'm going to bring out the rabbit's foot. Why not? Because if we're going to fail things, we might as well draw a card. Second action, I'm going to spend 3. I'm going to actually spend 3 of my money and bring out the pentacle. So that if we do get something we need to evade, we've got a way to do that. So we've got those out. And then third action, I'm just going to do a 3 versus a 2 and see how we go with the chaos bag. Hello. Try again. -2, so we don't succeed, unfortunately. So there we go. That was and we don't succeed. So we can exhaust the rabbit's foot and draw a card. Oh, we get the dowsing rod. Dowsing rod. I keep calling it dowsing rod. It's the dowsing rod. Well, that's good because that actually allows us to investigate. So that's great. Okay. Interesting. So there we go. That's a start. So we move into the enemy phase, or the enema phase, as I call it. No enemies or enemas to speak of. So we move into upkeep and we get guts. Okay. Let's move to the first encounter deck, and the encounter deck has dissonant voices, still lives. Well, that's a little bit annoying because it means we can't play any assets or events. So we can't play any of these cards except guts. So that's going to kind of restrict us. So that was kind of an unfortunate card to draw, because I was going to bring out things like the Dowsing Rod, but we can't at the moment. So we're just going to have to just wear it at the moment. So we'll move into the investigation phase. 3 actions on to Amina. Okay, well, we can't really do anything except just investigate at a 2 versus a 3. So let's go ahead and do that. 2 versus a 3, we get a -1, so we succeed. We will go ahead and investigate again. Chaos Bag gives us a 0, so we succeed. So we've got both of our clues. Well, that's good. What are we going to do for our last action? Well, we can't play any of these, so we might as well just draw a card. There we go, and we get our Word of Woe. Okay, place a doom on an asset you control. Resolve an ability on it. Resolve a action ability on it, ignoring all costs. Okay. There we go. So there we go. So that was a pretty good. So at the moment, the only asset we control is this one. So it would mean that we wouldn't be the costs like the doom, but we wouldn't have to exhaust it. So, but we would still have to put a doom on it. So I guess it's something anyway. Okie dokie. Yeah, so not too bad. We got our clues. We're going to stay in the study, obviously, because if an enemy turns up in the next draw, we can get rid of it immediately. And there we go. So that wasn't too bad. Enemy phase, there are no enemies. So we move into upkeep. Oh, we get perception. That's nice. We're building up a nice deck of cards. But our offensive cards... yeah, not here. So we really need that. But anyway, we've got time. So we'll get rid of the dissonant voices, and we will move into the Mythos phase. And the second doom is down. Let's see what the encounter deck has. The encounter deck has a swarm of rats. So there we go. We get a swarm of rats, but we don't care because we're going to be getting rid of the study. And also we are now in the, what they call it, the witching hour, because this is going to trip over next time anyway. So we put doom down on the table. It actually doesn't matter. So let's move into the investigation phase. 3 actions on to Amina. Okay, first action. No, not first action. We are going to spend our 2 clues, and we're going to advance the act. Let's see what it says. The door on the floor, you notice that the edges of your newly purchased rug are tattered and mud-stained. Finding this odd, you shift the furniture aside and pull back the rug. To your surprise, you see the door leading out of your study. You slowly turn the knob, and the door swings open, revealing your hallway below. You jump through the doorway, landing on your feet on soft dirt. The door to the study slams shut. Above you, the smell of burning wood fills the narrow hall, intermingled with the scent of rot and decay. Okay, so we put in all the cards. The study goes away. The rats go away. Great. We end up in the hallway. We'll flip the hallway. Doink. Yep. And that's that. So we are now into Act 2A. A glowing barrier blocks the path to your parlour. As you move toward it, intense heat forces you to back away. Picking up a handful of dirt, you toss it at the barrier and watch in horror as the dirt incinerates. Perhaps there's something in the cellar or the attic that can help. When the round ends, investigators in the hallway may as a group spend the requisite number of clues to advance. So there we go. We are now in the hallway, and we can really, it doesn't matter now about doom because, yeah. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Well, we don't really, investigation up in the attic is pretty easy, to be honest. So we don't need it for that, but it's probably a good idea to get it going if nothing else. So let's play the emergency cache. We don't actually need to play the emergency cache because we can just do this. Play an asset, reduce its cost by 3. So it's going to cost us 1. We can bring the asset out. Yeah. Play an asset, reduces the resource cost by 3, and you put 1 doom on it. So we'll put a doom on it. Yep, so it's got a doom on it. There we go. So yeah, but it doesn't matter because it's going to flip anyway. So we've got that out, the dowsing rod, and we can use that to investigate. That's good. So that was our first action. That's not a fast action. So that was our first action. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to use the ability on the dowsing rod. So we're going to investigate. We're going to investigate with the book, which gives us a book of 4. Now, when you initiate this, you can either exhaust the dowsing rod and put a doom on it to move to a connecting location for your investigation, or you can, if this investigation discovers the last clue at a location, remove a doom. So we are going to exhaust it, add another doom, and investigate, but we're going to move up 1. So we move up into the attic. We, of course, take a horror, as we usually do. So there we go. So that saved us a movement, which is very nice. And then we investigate here, which is a 1 versus a 4. Chaos bag gives us a -2, so we succeed and we get that clue. And then we can go ahead and investigate again, but this time it's just a 1 versus a 3. I'm not going to use perception. Let's just go ahead and investigate, and we get a skull, which of course is 0. So we get the final clue. And the crowd goes wild as we get our first victory points. So we had a really nice round. We started in the hallway. We were able to bring out our dowsing rod for only 1 resource, but we put a doom on it, but so what? Then we used the ability on the dowsing rod, which means putting another doom on down, but it meant we could move up to the attic for free, essentially, and then we did the investigation there, which we succeeded, which then gave us a third action, which allowed us to then investigate and get a clue. Now, one thing I've realized about the dowsing rod is that if you do use that move ability, that means you can move into a location that has an enemy in it, and you can investigate without having an attack of opportunity against you. So it has some really nice side effects there. So there we go. That's what we did. A bit of action compression there. That was really good. So we've got our first victory point. So there we go. So that's great. So let's move into the enemy phase. There are no enemies to speak of. So let's move into upkeep, and we get the good old ward of protection. Could be handy. See how we go. And we move into the good old mythos phase. Here we go. All the doom goes. All the doom is gone. You see what I mean? The witching hour, we don't care. We just lose all the doom. And let's see what the other side of the agenda says. Your house, it's a lapse in time, agenda 1B. Your house continues to change before your very eyes. The walls have decayed and the ground in many rooms has turned to dirt. It's almost as if you've been transported somewhere else entirely. Although every now and again you recognize elements of your former home. There's my award for being the best phone operator on the East Coast. Yes, there's my golden dowsing rod. I wondered where that had got to. Anyway, the lead investigator must decide either we discard a card at random from his or her hand or take 2 horror. Well, in our case, to be honest, either of those is kind of fine, to be honest. I'm not overly worried about either. Which one do we do? Which do we do? I mean, we've still got lots of. Let's just take the 2 horror. There we go. It's best to keep the cards that we have. Okay, and we go to Rise of the Ghouls. The floor beneath you is giving way, and you see a vast network of tunnels twisting into the darkness below. Shapes and silhouettes of strange creatures move swiftly through the tunnels, trying to find a way up. You probably don't want to be here when they do, indeed. Okay, all right. So there we go. That's the Doom. Let's see what the good old encounter deck has. And the encounter deck has Obscuring Fog. Well, we don't care about that. Attach it to your location. It gets +2 Shroud. Well, it is already investigated, so we don't care about that. That's great. Let's move into the investigation phase. 3 actions on to Amina. So, what are we going to do now? Yes, well. Okay, well, I think the first thing that we do is we move to the hallway. Yep. I think the second thing we do is we investigate using the dowsing rod. We're going to investigate at, again, it's a 3 plus book is a 4. Yeah. And we are going to put a doom on it because now there's plenty of time. So let's get the doom on there. So we've got plenty of time to get rid of the doom. We've got 7 turns. So now's the time to do it. So we'll put the doom on it and we'll move to a connecting location. So this is an investigation, but we get a free move out of it. Let's flip this. We're so busy looking at our dowsing rod and our rabbit's foot that we tumble down the stairs and we take a damage. Youch. Yeah, take a damage. Don't want to be doing that too often. Okay, so we get to investigate. We are currently at a 4 versus a 4 down here, but we can make that a 6 versus a 4. We can make it a 6 versus a 4. Do we make it a 7 versus a 4? Yeah, let's make it a 6 versus a 4. See how we go. Chaos bag gives us a +1 and we succeed. Yay! And we draw a card. Ooh, overpower. Good. Well, that's good. We need some of that now. We could do another investigation, but I'm thinking we should probably wait because we probably want to use the dowsing rod and get rid of this. So what we might do is we might hold off on that. And instead, what are we going to do? I guess maybe play our emergency cash so we've got it ready to roll. Okay, so that gives us another 3. So we've got lots of cash, as it were. So there we go. So that was pretty good. We started in the attic. We moved to the hallway. Then we used our dowsing rod again to move to a connecting location. It's handy to actually know what the connecting locations are. And we got to do a 6 versus a 4 test, which we succeeded, and we drew a card, and then we used our emergency cash. So next time we can get this other clue, and then we can get ready for the ghoul priest. Yeah. Okay, so let's move into the enema phase. There are no enemas. Let's move into upkeep. We got another guts. Wow, we got lots of guts. So that's kind of good, but we do need to get, we do need the sickle, which we don't have. So in that way, if we've got the living link, we've got guts, we can really go to town on the ghoul priest. Okay, so let's move into the mythos phase first. Well, there's 2 doom down. Let's see what the encounter deck has. And it has got Crypt Chill. Okay, Crypt Chill. If you fail, discard an asset you control. Okay. We could use the Ward of Protection instead, which would mean we would negate the treachery card and take a horror in the process. Do we care if we lost something? Do we care? Probably. Do we care if we lose the rabbit's foot? I don't really care if we don't. Yeah. I could probably lose the rabbit's foot. Let's see what the encounter deck has. This chaos bag has. It has a -2, so we fail that. Let's just get rid of the rabbit's foot. It's not the end of the world. Okay, let's move on. Investigation phase 3 actions onto Amina. Okay, first action. Let's go ahead and investigate. We will investigate with the +1, so that's a 4 versus a 4, isn't it? Actually, maybe we use our willpower here. That would be a 5 versus a 4, wouldn't it? 4 versus a 4, 5 versus a 4. Let's use these. So let's go with a 3, 4, 5, 6 versus a 4, isn't that right? So we're a 3 willpower. So that would be 4, 5, 6. 6 versus a 4. We're 2 up. Let's see what the Chaos Bag has. The Chaos Bag is an auto fail. Oh dear. No. That didn't work. We can investigate again. Let's use our intellect. So we're a 4 versus a 4. Let's see how we go. 4 versus a 4. We get a -2. So we fell again. That was a horrible round. Didn't succeed at all in that case. But we've got a third action because we've only taken 2 actions to try. Let's try again. And we get a -1. So we fail again. If you fail, take a horror. Oh dear. All right, well, we will see what we can do next time. Enemy phase, no enemies to speak of. Upkeep, we get perception. Yay! Okay, that's going to work for us this time. That's great. Okay, let's move in to the Mythos phase. 2 Doom are down. Well, there's actually 3. Let's see what the encounter deck has. Oh dear, Rotting Remains. Ooh, well, we don't want to fail this one. So we will bring out the Guts. So that gives us a 5 versus a 3. A 5 versus a 3. Let's see what the Chaos Bag has. -1. So we succeed, thank goodness. And we get to draw a card and we get Eldritch Initiation. Okay, Eldritch Initiation. Very nice. Okay, good-o. All right, let's move in to the investigation phase. 3 actions on to Amina. Okay, I might do this. So first action, I'm going to spend 1, and I'm going to play. Do we play it because it's got? Maybe I won't. Yeah, I will. So for each arcane slot you have, draw a card. So we get to draw 2, and we bring out our weakness. Okay, so move 1 Doom from an asset to the current agenda. Ah, dear. Oh, dear. This may cause the current agenda to advance. It doesn't. If no Doom... Right, so... Okay, it's not the end of the world. It's just added an extra Doom. Okay, so that was our first action. Second action, let's go ahead and investigate. So we'll investigate using our intellect. So we're a 4. Let's make that a 6. So we are a 6. A 6 versus a 4. A 6 versus a 4, and we're choosing the second one if we discover the last clue. Oh, remove a Doom. So, well, it doesn't have the Doom anymore, but that's what we're going to do. And let's see what the Chaos Bag has. The Chaos Bag has a 0, so we succeed. Yay! We draw a card, get another overpower, and yeah, and we also get our second victory point, and the crowd goes wild. There we go. Awesome. Okay. Things are going okay. So now really all we need to do is we just need to set ourselves up for the Ghoul Priest. We've lost our weakness, so we don't need to worry about it so much. Yeah. So I think now all we need to do is just get that card. So on that note, let's draw. And we draw a Drawn to the Flame. Well, we don't need that for this because we've already discovered all our clues. So there we go. So pretty good round. We the first thing that we did was we played a card to draw 2 cards, and unfortunately we drew our weakness, which means we added an extra Doom, but that's not the end of the world. We then used the Dowsing Rod to get our final clue, so we actually don't need the Dowsing Rod anymore. We can replace that. And then we drew a card and we got Drawn to the Flame. So our main focus is that get that sickle. Somewhere in these 16 cards is the sickle. We don't need to... And if we got Dendromorphosis, it wouldn't be the end of the world either if we lost both of these cards. So I'm just going to just keep drawing till we get the sickle. Okay, that was upkeep. Let's move into the Mythos phase. 4 Doom are down. Let's see what the encounter deck has. And the encounter deck has Frozen in Fear. Frozen in Fear, well, that's a little bit of a pain. of a card to get, but it's not the end of the world. I think we'll be able to deal with that. Okay, let's move into the investigation phase. 3 actions. Onto Amina. Now, I don't want to stay here because I've just realized we might draw into the icy ghoul and I don't want to be here. So I am going to move back up into the hallway is our first action. And we can only, actually that's 2 actions, isn't it? Because of the frozen in fear. Yes. And then our final action, I'm going to draw a card and there it is. We got the sickle. Great. Okay, we got the sickle. Good. We can bring that out and we can, we'll be pretty much ready for the ghoul priest then, I think. Yes, so there we go. That was a pretty non-event kind of round. We took 2 actions to move to the hallway and then we drew a card. Now we have to test 3 and we are a 3. 3 versus a 3. Do we have some way? Yeah, let's make that a 4 versus a 3. So we're 1 up. Let's see what the Chaos Bag has. And it has a skull, which is -0. So because there are no ghoul enemies, so we succeed and we get rid of Frozen in Fear. That's good. Don't want Frozen in Fear hanging around. So let's move into the enemy phase. No enemies. Let's move into upkeep. We've got to get rid of something. What do we get rid of? Yeah, I don't know. Those are good. They've got fight pips. Probably Drawn to the Flame is going. Okay, there we go. All right, we'll move into the Mythos phase 5 of 7 Doom. Let's see what the encounter deck has. And it's got a swarm of rats. A swarm of rats. Okay, that's not the end of the world. We can deal with that. So yes, let's move into the investigation phase. 3 actions onto Amina. Well, let's go ahead and just punch these swarm of rats. We are a 3 and they are a 1. So we're 2 up, a 1 versus a 3. Chaos Bag gives us a cultist. We succeed and we kill the rats. That's the first action. Second action, let's spend 3. And bring out the sickle, and we will replace the rod with the sickle. Yeah. So now we're able to fight. Yeah. Okay. So that's good. That's good. That's good. Okay, and we've got lots of ways to fight. I don't think getting Leader Chandler on board is going to be particularly helpful because she's intellect, and we don't really have that. I'm also thinking with the living link, it might have been better to actually make it the fight skill rather than willpower skill. But anyway, that's all right. We can still do that. In fact, what I might do now is to prepare, I am going to bring out the living link. So when you purchase living link, choose a skill. We did that. So it's a willpower. It's got 3 charges on it and we get +1. So we're running at a 4 with willpower. So we could use it to fight with that if we run out of fight pips, but we've got quite a lot of them. So hopefully we won't need to do that. Okay. All right. Let's move into the enemy phase. No enemies. Let's move into upkeep. Ah, yeah, we get explosive ward. This just keeps getting better and better. That's a free 2 damage. Oh, that's non-elite enemy. Okay. Well, that could be really helpful because if we have another enemy with us, but even if we don't use it for that, it's a double fight pip. So we've got 3 double fight pips now. That's really great. So I think we are pretty much ready to throw in our clues. When the round ends, let's throw in the 3 clues. And I mustn't forget we can also evade as well. So we've got lots and lots of ways to do things. So let's flip this over. Yeah. Using the barrel from the attic, you carry ice and snow from the cellar and hurl it at the barrier. The barrier sparks and shudders. as it consumes the ice and then hisses and fades out of existence. The barrier blocking the passage into the parlour has vanished. Reveal the parlour. So we will reveal the parlour. And then we put Leader Chandler into the parlour. Let's find good old Leader Chandler. Oh, hello, Amina. How are you? Oh, I think you're more than capable of doing this by yourself. You don't need me and my silly torch. And we will also bring out the Ghoul Priest. Hello, Amina. Ooh, you've got your sickle, have you? Oh, think you're tough, do you? Well, you might be right about that. Oh dear. Yes. Okay. What have you done? What? A woman with a torch stands in the parlour, a glimmer of hatred in her eyes. What have you done to my barrier? She screams, furious. Before you can answer, a ghastly wail sounds behind you, and a creature wearing robes and deer skull mask tears through the wall, advancing towards you. If the Ghoul Priest is defeated, advance. Yes, indeed. So there we go. Yes. So we will move into the Mythos phase. 6 of 7 Doom is down. Let's see what the encounter deck has. And it has Ancient Evils. Oh, no. So that... oh, boy. So there we go. That actually advances. There we go. So we will flip that. A feral beast, roughly humanoid with a canine cast and hooves for feet, tears through the ground in front of you. Below the floor, you see vast tunnels beneath your house. Fiendish howling echoes from deep within the underground caverns. Shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. Okay, shuffle into the encounter deck. Yeah, and draw until a ghoul enemy is revealed. So shuffle. Nope. Yes, we get the ravenous ghoul. Okay. All right. And it is Agenda 3A. They're getting out. A crazed howl outside, and you hear a crazed howl outside, and suddenly all the creatures turn their attention to that sound there. They rush to escape the house, breaking down doors and clawing at everything in their way. At the end of the enemy phase, each unengaged ghoul enemy moves one location towards the parlour. At the end of the round, put a doom on the agenda for each ghoul enemy in the hallway or parlour. Okay. Let's move into the investigation phase. 3 actions onto Amina. Now we've got to be careful here because we're a bit low on the old health. So what are we doing? If we use the sickle, yeah, so we've got the evade there if we really need to use it, which might happen. Okay, that start of our turn, so the living link has gone. So hopefully we won't. So let's see how we go. So I'm thinking we use this because we don't care about the doom now. So we can spend 2 and we can play the Word of Woe. Fast play, put a doom on an asset you control. Does it matter which one? Well, let's just put a doom on here. I don't think it matters. Yep. Doom asset you control. Resolve the action ability on it, ignoring all the costs. So, for example, we can fight, get +1 fight, and normally we would exhaust the sickle and place a doom on it. But we're not going to do that because that is the costs, ignoring all of the costs. So we don't have to do that, which is great. So we've played that, which means we can get the +1 fight. So that gives us a fight of 4. You get a +1 skill value. So that gives us a fight of 5. And we can make that a fight of 7. And we can make that a fight of, do we do that? 8? I guess we do. And then we will do 2 points of damage. So what are we talking here? 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. So it's an 8 on a 4. So we are a 4 up. I've got that right, haven't I? We start with 3. We get +1 fight. Then we get the +1 skill value. So that's 3, 4, 5. Then we've got overpower, 7. And we've got string of curses. So that's an 8. 8 on a 4. Chaos Bag gives us a skull, which is -2. So we have succeeded. And we do 2 points of damage to the Ghoul Priest. Ow! There we go. And because we used our overpower, we draw a card. Oh, no. I'd forgotten about this card. Oh, no. Oh, no. No, 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 not now. No, no. I'd completely forgotten that we had Dendromorphosis. Oh, my God. Oh, no. Oh. Oh, no. But, of course, we can take an action to deal the damage on it and it disappears. Okay. Oh, boy. Okay. I think that... So we've got a couple of choices here. We could fight a couple more times at a 5 versus a 4 and hope we do damage. But then we would then take 3 points of damage, which we wouldn't be quite dead, but we'd be close. And the other alternative is we could kill the Ravenous Ghoul with these 2 cards. But then that means we would just take damage from the Ghoul Priest, but it would give us a bit of breathing space. It'd be nice if there was a... Does the Doom... No, it's a non-elite enemy. So I don't know whether it's a good idea to try and fight the Ghoul Priest again, but we would only be doing 1 point of damage, so this is really rough. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. I think we have to try and kill this Ghoul Priest because, I mean, yes, we could get rid of the Ravenous Ghoul, but that doesn't get us anywhere. We could try and evade the Ghoul Priest, but I think we're better off just trying. So let's throw in these 2 cards. So we're now at a 3-6 versus a 4. We're 2 up. Let's see what the Chaos Bag has. And it has a -4, so we completely fail. Oh, dear. And we take... take 2 points of... We take 2 horror. And 2 damage. Oh, wow. Final action. I think it's all over. I'm going to try and... I don't know what... I don't think there's anything we can do. I'm going to try and fight the Ghoul Priest again and go down fighting. So a 5 versus a 4. Chaos Bag. It gives us a 0, so we succeed and we do another point of damage. I wish I'd gotten that last time. So there we go. So we move into the enemy phase. The Ghoul Priest attacks us and we go down for a point of damage. So there we go. What a disappointing end. I'd completely forgotten about Dendromorphosis. That completely destroyed our game. Wow, wow, wow. We were doing so well as well. Oh my goodness. But that's the way it goes in the Investigator Games. We'll get at least 4 victory points. So that's pretty respectable. And I think Amina's pretty strong. Perhaps it's better to have some spells, arcane spells, even though our willpower is a bit on the low side. But like I said, things could have gone really well. It just things just, our weakness just did us in at the end. So thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Now, next time in the Investigator Games, we'll be taking Charlie Kane through the gathering. Yes, Charlie Kane, who is the colourless investigator. Interesting investigator. I'm looking forward to seeing how he goes. But until then, I'm Krabby Terror 8. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.